I've never felt so in tune with my femininity and like my womanhood and everything like that. Like, I remember sitting, it was when he was born, and I was holding him, and I was sitting in the bed, and I could hear another woman laboring, and I was so overcome with like emotion, like I could almost feel everything, and like I still remember those intense emotions and like hormones and everything. It was one of the neatest things I've ever experienced, like after having him, and it definitely changed my entire view of what being a girl and being a woman is all about, and I think it changed my entire view of what I believe feminism is. I know so many people who they're feminists, and they want this and they want that, and they're just so angry and bitter, and they hate on other women all the time, and they hate, like I know a lot of girls who they take being a feminist to just hate things and be so bitter and angry. And to me, like now after being pregnant and like giving birth and going through that, and I just have a completely different feeling of what it means, and it's more love, and like having children is the most womanly thing you can do. That's what our bodies are meant to do. That's those, like, especially having like a natural birth like that, like in some cases obviously it can't happen, but in most cases it can, and that's what we're meant to do. It's what our bodies are meant to do, and we're more than capable of it, and it's the most empowering feeling in the entire world. And ow, gentle please. You're being rough. Yeah. Aww. It's something that I'd never even thought about until I was pregnant and we found out we were having a boy. And it was a question that came up between my partner and I, and he was all for it, and I really didn't understand why. It was one of those things that it didn't mean anything to me that way, and so we started like researching it and stuff like that, and it's actually the only fight we got into was whether to circumcise our son or not, and it became quite the fight, and it got pretty heated, and we took some time and we did some research, and it was one of those things that the more that we researched and found out and learned, the more horrifying it became, and the more that we realized that it wasn't something that we wanted, like, for our son. And it was something that I couldn't personally put away, like, after that, and we'd made the decision, and our son was going to be left intact and everything like that. And the more I thought about it, the more it seemed like it shouldn't have been a question that needed to be asked, and I started to really question that and question why people even did that in the first place, and thought that that was an okay thing to do, and just learning about it on everything from a religious level to what it does to babies, and then essentially boys and men, and then even everything, like how it's all connected and how awful it is, and I couldn't put it away, and I can't put it away. It's something that just, it eats at me every day. It's something I think about. It seems so silly, and Jeff teases me about it all the time, but I think it's also because having Bannon and knowing how perfect and amazing he is, and how perfect your baby is when it's first born, and just like even being a mother and that deep bond that you get right away, and how someone could do that to their baby, it just, after educating yourself about it, how someone could even do that, it rips me apart. It makes me want to cry. It's awful. If he would have been a girl, this wouldn't have been an issue whatsoever. It wouldn't have been something I thought about. It would have been something whatever. And to tell you the truth, it would have been something that if someone asked me, I would have been like, I don't know. And it wouldn't have been a big deal. But I don't know, after having Bannon and, and after having him, and just, like I said, how perfect and amazing and everything is, I couldn't imagine doing something that hurtful on so many different levels. Sorry, I get kind of flustered, and like it just eats me, and I don't even remember the initial question now. I said, I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I don't care. I'll be that crazy person on the corner waving a sign if that's what it takes. Then I became that crazy person walking the street with a sign. I always make fun of people, like, what are they doing? Who does that? Sort of deal. And when it was happening, I felt I was actually overcome with, like, passion, and I was so proud of everyone who was there, and that people were stopping and looking at us, and how many people were like, yeah, that's awesome, and were like cheering beside us and honking horns. And for something so little, it felt so big at the time, and it made my heart feel so big that this wasn't just me being silly. It was something that's an actual issue, and it needs to be addressed, and it needs to stop, and it needs the awareness. And doing that and being part of that, like the first one in Vancouver, is so significant. It just makes me so excited to think about how much, like, what we can do next year and how we can make it bigger, and what else can we do this year even. And I'm a very passionate and a pretty stubborn person, so once I set my mind to something, I need to see it through to the end, and I need to see this abolished. I can't handle thinking that people uneducated and unknowingly do this to their babies and do this to their, it makes me want to cry. Any friend that I have now who finds out that they're pregnant, the first thing I say to them is, like, congratulations, you need to educate yourself. That's the biggest thing, is read, and read some more, and don't stop. You have 9 months to prepare for this, and find someone, like, find a doula, find a really good womanly support. You need people who've done this and who can do this, and there's so many people out there and so many resources that it's such a shame if you don't educate yourself. It's one of the worst things you can do for yourself and your baby. It's a very selfish thing. It's no longer about you, it's also about your child.